We feel like we're taking a lot of momentum into and excitement into spring practice after the comeback win at Oregon State. Guys came back really pumped up in January for the off-season program, and I do feel like it's been the best off-season program we've had in the last 4 years. I think there's a number of reasons. We've had a lot of staff continuity since our changes in 2010. Benny and Jeff seem to be much more on the same page than they were. That was quite a shake-up in your strength and conditioning program when you change what's been going on for 10 or so years. And Benny and Jeff have really done a great job, in my estimation, moving forward this spring. We've got an older team, a faster team, a stronger team than we've had for the last 2 years, for sure. And this team has shown more leadership, toughness, confidence, and discipline because of all those things. They feel like we can be really good, but they understand where we've got to get to be good, and all of those things have made the off-season better. We will open only 2 practices during spring practice. It'll be March 1st, which is our 5th practice, which will be pads, and it'll be in the stadium if the seats are available, and I think they are, John. I don't think that's a problem. So we'll have to move around because they're redoing a lot of the seats, but I think we'll have enough room to safely be in there. And March 2nd, which will be the 6th practice, both in the stadium, both in pads. It's also in conjunction with our high school coaches clinic. That's what we've done the last couple of years. And then the spring game will be on the 30th of March. It'll be at 6:30. It'll be right after the Texas relays. We tried Easter a couple of years ago. We thought about it this year. We talked to a lot of our fans, and a lot of them said that 3 o'clock's okay on Easter, but still some can't come because they have functions throughout the day. And we know there will be a lot of traffic for the Texas relays right after the game, after the relays are over, but we think there may be some carryover with people staying and be a night game. It's only the second time I think we've had a night game in 16 years, and for the spring game, so we think it could be a lot of fun, and the guys are excited about it. If there's inclement weather on the 1st and the 2nd, we would have to move indoors. If we move indoors, we cannot have fans come in. So that's the same situation it's been. So hopefully the weather will be good on those 2 days. Hopefully we can be in the stadium and everybody can see it, but everybody would have to understand, and we would list it on our website if the weather looked like it was such that we had to go inside and could not go outside earlier that day. So we would be able to make those decisions for everybody and not make it uncomfortable for them. But we thought also Friday and Saturday gives some fans to drive their children up to see us practice, and that's tougher to do during the week. New playing rules, there's about 8 or 9. I thought there were 4 or 5 of them, that 6 of them I've got here that were specific to that you guys would be interested in. Probably the most talked about one is targeting, and the difference that we're hearing, and we've only gotten written explanations, so we haven't met with the officials yet. So some of this is still up for clarification through interpretation. But right now, when a targeting penalty is called, targeting a defenseless player, what we are being told, it will be taken to instant replay and review. And if they feel like it was an intentional act in trying to hurt the other player, then they eject the player from the game at that time. You can have a penalty without having the ejection if they feel like it was a head-to-head shot, but it wasn't intentional and trying to hurt the player. The other thing that we understand is the ejection means that you're out 4 quarters from the time you're ejected. So if this is right before the half, then you don't play the first half of the next week. So that's a very, very serious penalty, and it's one that coaches are concerned about, and we're going to have some consistency in calling it, or it could really disrupt some young players' lives. Blocking below the waist has not changed that much, even though they're really going to make an emphasis on offensive linemen downfield, across the field, blocking back, or cutting from the side or behind. And they're also going to do the same thing with wide receivers. So more than just blocking inside, which has been a problem. If the wide receiver on the right side of the field goes all the way across the field and he cuts going up the field, then they're going to call that blocking below the waist down the field to try to be more protective of wide receivers. There's a 10-second runoff for injury timeout late in the half, so if someone fakes an injury or someone gets hurt with 10 seconds left, the official has the right to say that the half is over, which could be critical at that point. I thought this one was interesting because they've always had inconsistency in the spike play to try to stop a clock. How much time does it really take? Does it take 5 seconds to get it off? Does it take 1? Does it take 2? Is it the clock operator upstairs? What they've done is they've made a specific 3-second rule that if you have 3 seconds, you can spike the ball. If you have less than 3 seconds, you can't possibly get a spike off. So the way we would understand that is if David Ash sees that there's 2 seconds on the clock when it's about to be snapped, he has to run a play. If he spikes it, they say that the half's over or the end of the game. So if you've got 3 seconds, when the ball's snapped, you can spike it, and they'll let you have a second left. That's the way we understood the ruling. Assisting the ball carrier, that one's changed. We all saw the Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart at Notre Dame a couple of years ago. We've seen people grab running backs and try to pull them. That is now illegal. You can push a pile, but you cannot take a receiver running back and pull him into the end zone, and you can't push him just by yourself. So they will call that as a penalty if you're assisting a ball carrier. And then the last one that they put in there, there's some about color of the jerseys. They want to make sure that the numbers are distinctly different enough from the uniforms that people can see them, because everybody's wearing different colored uniforms now. They want to make sure, I'm sure Boise and I think it's Eastern Michigan that have colored fields. You have to have a distinct difference in color combinations. I guess that means you can't wear blue on a blue field, but they've changed some of those things. They had something about, somebody got a call. 47763. Hello? No, she's right here.
Nice.
Yeah, she's here. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, really? Oh, gosh. Okay. I'll have her call you back. Thanks. The last one is if the helmet is knocked off and you have to take the player out of the game for a play, and you have a timeout in your pocket now, you can actually use the timeout and he can put the helmet back on and go back in. So if your quarterback, last seconds of a half, last second of the game, you got a timeout in your pocket, he does not have to come out, or your running back or your great wide receiver or such. And I'm sure that was added because of something that came up at the end of last year. Recruiting, we'll have our second junior day on Saturday for our second practice. I think we're expecting 25 to 30 young guys coming in. We do have 8 commitments. It's going really well, but we are going slower and trying to make sure that if a young guy commits to us, that he stays. We don't care if they commit when they're here. We don't care, but if you're going to come and stay. And that's not the environment out there right now at all. So many kids are changing their minds. It's never been that way here. And we're trying to make sure that we slow everybody down. If they're here with their parents and we've talked to the high school coach and they want to commit and everybody understands the deal and they're not going to visit and they're not going to take calls, they're not going to see people again, that's fine. But if that's not all in place, then we will simply say, we had one guy the other day that said, I want to commit, but I got one more visit I'm going to take. And I said, no, we're not doing that. That's not the message we want to send. We want you to be sincere with the people you're going to see, and we want you to be sincere with us. So that's what we're working on, and that's who we are. And it's not that way many places right now. We're going to try to stand strong with who we are, and that's what we're working on. There's been a lot of discussion over the last month with the rules changes in the NCAA of possible adding positions. We're looking at that very hard right now with the loss. I think we're in line with the Big 12 schools pretty much throughout. Alabama is ahead of all of us with the number of personnel that they've hired, and that's something that everybody's looking very closely at. We are posting a position today of a director of player personnel that would oversee our recruiting. There's a lot of discussion about the possibility of an overriding committee that will slow some of this down this spring, and that some of the rules might change. They might just hold them right now and review them for another year. We're not sure about that. So everybody's been a little bit all over the place. Where's it going? What's going to happen? How many personnel will they let you have? They put a limit on, the NCAA put a limit on strength staffs, I think, last year. They cut it to 5, and those 5 are all that you can have working with football. I think that in the near future, maybe a year, but in the near future, I think we'll see the same thing with administrative staff. I think you're going to see this many people that can work with football. And there is not a limit right now on analyst or quality control guys. I think you'll see a limit put on that in the future. It's just my opinion. But right now there's not one. Again, it's something that all of us have looked very carefully at, and what's best for college football and what's best for Texas, and some don't have as much money, and those are things that NCAA, that athletic directors and presidents are having to look at very closely. The way I understood the new rule is even with media guides, and John and Bill and I have had discussion over, we can't start them because we don't know if you're still going to be able to have them. If you can have them right now, there are no rules. So you can have a 35,000-page gold-plated media guide if you want one, and you can afford it. So I think what we will see is more sense put into those rules and not leave it out there like that. The way I understand it right now, starting August 1st, you could have a poster sent out every day if you wanted to, and that's not going to fly with schools across the country. So I think we'll see some regulations put back in place on some of those things in the near future. Injury report, DeMarco Cobbs is out for the year with his knee. DeAndre Davis got hurt at during the season last year. He is out for spring practice. Trey Hopkins, who broke his leg, is out for spring practice. Will Russ had a back injury, and he is out for spring practice. And then Cameron Hughes will be limited, but he's been working in the off-season program, and he'll get to do some things. And Jackson Jeffcoat looks really good. I think he will be limited, but he'll be able to do a lot of the drills. We'll just keep him out of contact throughout the spring. Philosophy moving forward, we've talked long and hard about who we want to be for this year. We want to be attacking on both sides of the ball and be aggressive like we were the second half of Oregon State. That's who we want to be. You start looking at the tempo on offense. John told me that there was some confusion that I left last time. I guess when I say it, it's not confusing. When you hear it, you write what you hear, not what I say in some cases, and that's difficult for both of us. I wish we had more time to sit and visit. But we'll still run the same plays. We will still want to be very balanced. There will be similarities to what we did with Vince and Colt. As I've said many times, I thought we got away from the running game with Colt in the end, and we got so we couldn't run the ball. And that's we're at a better place right now with running the ball after the last 2 years than we were. So we'll continue to run the ball a lot and be balanced. We will have fewer formations, and we will substitute less. Because one of the real advantages right now for defenses is that when you substitute, the defense gets to substitute. And I think that's one of the big changes that's occurred the last couple of years in college football, that with up-tempo offenses, and especially in this league, we had the best offenses in the country in this league. People got so they couldn't call defenses. You got so you couldn't substitute, and you were wearing people out, much like happened to Oregon State in the end of our ball game, and it changes everything. And that's why we feel that this is definitely the way to go. Use what we've done for the last 2 years to move forward, but keep your best players in the game. Try to develop, create a two deep as such that when you change everybody. You're not running people in and out and allowing defenses to rest. And then you're wearing out defenses who are less than too deep. We also feel like that the tempo offense should really help our defense. because we were at a disadvantage some last year where you couldn't practice against it very often, and then you're out there and you're wearing out, and it's hard to call your defenses, and as we said, we look very poor, especially early in the year on defense, and we think that by working against tempo offense every day in practice is going to help us a lot when we get ready to play against these type offenses next fall. We've created a tempo environment in the off season. Everything we did in the off season was for both groups to be around tempo, and we also feel like that we have better players. We do have a better chance to be too deep, but we'd like to create a too deep with no drop off between the ones and the twos, and that doesn't happen very often. But we're getting at a point where we'll have a better chance to do that, and we've got to force ourselves to play them. We'd like to play them, but we've got to force ourselves to do that. It helps team morale. It helps prevent injuries because we've had more injuries than anybody in the country the last couple of years. And I think part of it is we're thin, and I think the other parts we've been young and playing some freshmen, and freshmen get hurt more readily than seniors because they haven't been around as long. They're not as strong. They're not as confident. And defensively, we will go back, and we've got to do a better job at the line of scrimmage with our front and our linebackers of stopping the run. And when you stop the run, you can create havoc with the quarterback and force more turnovers. But we did not do that well consistently all year, but we did it very, very poorly through half of the year. Questions?
Matt, just to clarify, Tops, is that for the year or
for the spring. I'm sorry, all these were spring.
Oh, okay.
That's why be sure and ask me. When my spring is the year right now. They usually look at knee operations for a year. So, I mean, he's going to be a guy that'll be close, but it usually takes 12 to 18 months for guys to come back, and everybody comes back differently. But he has not been ruled out, but he's got a lot of rehab to do before he can be ready to go in August.
Matt, when you guys were running jet tempo with Colt and playing really fast, that took years to get to that point. Is this something realistic that you can institute in one off season?
I think without question, because we did it with Vince in one off season, and we kind of started the stuff out here in a lot of ways, and I think that's where Major can be so good because he was here in '04 when we were doing it so well, and the other thing, Mike, is we've done it a lot. We really planned on doing it the whole game at Oregon State, and we couldn't run the ball to start the game, and then what we did, we ended up doing it at the end of the game. And we tried the tempo, but you didn't notice it because we were 3 and out so darn fast. We didn't have a chance to stay on the field. But we felt like that what we want to be is what we were at the end of that game, but with a good balance of run plays. And we were behind by 10, so we didn't have a chance to stay as balanced as we wanted to. That's what David was in high school. We feel like he'll be perfect for this. It's what Case has always done. It's what Connor Brewer's done. And the two young ones will, they'll really, Jalen and Tyrone will get a good look at it this spring, and we'll work Case and David with the ones more and work the young ones with the twos and get a good feel of what they can do. But we feel like that where it is an advantage for us, we can go back to the tempo very easily. But now we've got our power runs and short yards and goal line, and most tempo teams can't do that. And we feel like we can. So we feel like that what we've done for the last 2 years is a great advantage for where we're going.
Mack, when you were talking about putting in the up-tempo offense, you made a reference to Oklahoma State, what they've done the last 3 years. And they've had different coordinators. They had a first-round draft pick quarterback, and they had 3 guys that never started, and there was very little drop-off from a numbers standpoint. Is that what to give your fans some idea of what you're looking at? Is Oklahoma State maybe one of the teams?
Well, they've done a great job with that. You take I mentioned Oregon's been a tempo offense. There's a difference in the plays you run and the tempo you run. And what we want to do is run a very fast tempo but keep our same plays. And we really talked about it on offense. We don't want to be anybody else. We want to be us. And I feel like that we can do that. The off-season program, you can do a lot of things in the off-season. You can only work 4 guys at a time together, which I've always thought's a little bit foolish when you're working in football. So you can't have a formation, but you can have a center and 3 people to the right. So we've tried to get some mental work with where we're headed, and it'll be interesting to see today. But I'm excited about it. I think it'll be fun to watch.
Is there a moment when this decision was made that that's where you wanted to go?
It was interesting. We talked about it after we made that run of Ole Miss, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, Baylor, or Oklahoma and Baylor. All those teams were really, really good offensively, and Oklahoma was the only one that wasn't tempo as such, and they were some. But we looked up, and they're the best 5 offenses in the country, or 4 of the best. And I think that if you go back and look at it, the top 10 offenses last year in America were tempo. Florida State wasn't always tempo. They huddled up some. But if you go back and study the highest scoring and the most yards, and I think it's here. I mean, we were a few years ago, and Alabama's still been better than people, and they line up and run it when they want to. But the ones that are moving the ball consistently the best are spread out, and they're staying balanced, and we feel like we're ready to do that.
Now, can you size up the safety position? Who you see working there? Does Quandre work there?
We had a good discussion about that for about the last 10 days, and Dwayne will continue to work the same. He's going to work them all. We got Sherrod starting out at corner, and this will be his first spring because he is not involved in track. But Quandre can play safety. He can play corner. When Adrian was out some of the bowl practice, Quandre got a good week at safety in there, and Dwayne has got to find his best 5 because of nickel. So we're really trying to see who the 4 are, who the next best 4 are, but who is the 5th one, and who will be the nickel guy, and then possibly the dime guy.
Is linebacker the biggest issue or biggest position of concern? You mentioned signing day a little bit.
Yeah, I thought that I said that the big plays were killers, and you go back and study, we weren't consistently good at linebacker in our play, and we had some safeties miss some tackles early in the year that just were killers. And to me, right now, we've got some good linebackers to look at. I was so excited about Peter Jenkins at the end of the year. He made a difference. He played like he was old at Kansas State. He played great in the bowl game. I mentioned it the other day or last time I talked to you that Dalton Santos is down to 235 from 256, and he looks like he's moving a lot better, so it'll be fun to watch him. But then Tevin Jackson played great in the bowl game. You got Jordan Hicks back. Steve Edmonds lost weight, and he's really trying. He's in a fight right now at linebacker. You got Tim Cole coming on. So there's Kendall Thompson. Aaron Benson's had a good offseason, and Aaron hadn't played very much. So we really have 6 or 7 guys there that have a chance to step up and play, and that's by far better than we've been since Emmanuel and Keenan left.
Would you look at Jordan Hicks in the middle, or would you rather have him at weak side linebacker?
I think right now we're going to look at him on outside either way, Will or Mike, because Steve and Dalton are more the inside guys. Kendall Thompson can play inside because you still like your girth in there if you can.
Are you looking for anything in particular in this player personnel director, or any particular traits that stand out for you?
We're really trying to decide. We've talked to so many people across the country, and everybody's having the same discussions we're having. And what we feel like it needs to be is as good a recruiting coordinator as there is in the country, and that would mean a guy that can look at the new rules and see what can we send out, and be the best. At one time, we were the best in media guides, and we were the best in our website. And I don't think right now we are, and we need to get back to that. So that's who this person we think needs to be.
How many people in the Big 12 have added personnel already?
I don't think many have yet. I think they're all in discussions. We've obviously talked to DeLoss a lot, and the athletic directors are all talking a lot. And one of the things we've all got to look at is if you add and then next year you fire the guy because they make you cut, who do you bring in? I mean, so it's really I think it's as confusing right now to people across the country in our business as to exactly where it's headed as maybe unsettled is better than confusing, and everybody's talking about it. But
would you like to get an NFL guy who does this for a living?
I think, again, we're posting today, and we're going to see who's interested, and then we're going to look very closely at we've got some ideas that we've discussed, but we're going to look very closely at who's interested and see who fits. If you look at social media is a huge part of that position now. video being sent out over airwaves is a huge part of that position now. All those things are things that are bigger than they were 5 years ago. Every kid's on Twitter, every kid's on Facebook. Now they're jumping on Instagram. I mean, it's changing so fast that we feel like that there's a person out there that can help do a better job with our process.
Matt, when Saban brought in that position, he brought in a guy from the Miami Dolphins, and all of his football analysts are guys who served in position coaches breaking down tape. Are you comfortable with colleges having that kind of personnel with the fact that there are no limits right now, and is that where we're going?
I can't blame Alabama for doing what they needed to do to be successful, and the thing you've got to look at if you're looking at college football is, can everybody do that, and is that fair? And it's fair for Alabama because they've made it work for them. So I would not be critical of them at all. What I think, the patterns I see in my past in this job is when there were strength coaches that were doing the same thing, and everybody had 10 strength coaches, and they had one for every position. The NCAA realized it, and they cut them to 5. I think what we'll see in a year is that the analyst quality control positions will be cut to a certain number. I think that we'll see that the positions that you have across the board will be cut. So you'll have 10 assistant coach, 9 assistant coaches and a head coach. Right now we're restricted to 4 graduate assistants. There is no restriction on quality control. I think that you'll see a restriction coming. I'm not sure. I'm sure that'll be by the presidents and the athletic directors. I personally would like to see the quality control guys be able to coach, because if they are coaches, it's hard to monitor who is and who's not, so let them coach, and I would like to see that. And then I think you'll see that they'll have a number of 20 or less that can work with football in general, and I think you'll see them probably let all those guys recruit. But I don't think we'll have unlimited numbers this time next year.
How do you fix tackling? That was a big issue in the fall. What can you do in the spring?
I think it's probably the most talked about thing for the teams that didn't tackle well, and when they tackle well, you say we had a good defense. I've done both, and you've done the same drills basically when you do both. I thought we tackled better the last half of the season, and you just continue to work on the fundamentals of tackling. And I did think, and you're in a position modern day when you say anything that you feel like tries to help a kid, you get overanalyzed and criticized for it. But a young man like Adrian Phillips, I don't think we were fair to him publicly because he missed spring practice. He had a shoulder operation. They wouldn't let him tackle all fall. And then because he'd been a good player for us, we threw him out there and said, go. And then we wondered why he struggled some early. And in retrospect, we probably should have tried to get somebody else more ready and let him ease back in instead of jump back in with the speed in this league. But I think that being in better shape, being older, being more confident, playing more football, being more prepared for tempo, all of those things will help our tackling.
Do you think you might have to be more physical in the fall practices?
How
many coaches do that?
I've had coaches come from everywhere in the country, and they say we're just as physical as everybody they've ever worked with. So that's a farce. That's a myth. It's a fun one. People have enjoyed it, but it's a myth.
Mack, in the 4 losses, you didn't average 4 yards a carry. What's it going to take for you to be able to run on your terms? And how far do you think this offensive line has come and needs to go to establish that?
I do think Stacy Searles has done as good as anybody in the country at coaching what he had since he's got here to now. And I do think he recruited potentially the best offensive group in the country this year. So we're headed where we wanted to go when he came. He had some opportunities this year to leave, and he's so excited, and he was pumped about going forward. I didn't like the fact that we couldn't just line up and run it when we wanted to in some games, and those were the 4 losses. Most of the year we were able to do that. Oregon State, we couldn't do it, but we were able to still win because we were able to throw the ball. I think that the fact that we've gotten better, We've gotten more physical. We've got returning offensive linemen for the last 3 years that have worked for Stacy. With the new guys coming in, we'll obviously look at combinations that may help us even more when we get everybody in. We'll look at some of that this spring, but we know what Trey Hopkins can do. So he's going to have a place in there somewhere, most likely. So it'll let us look at some other guys. But I think the biggest thing is that by spreading things back out and having your numbers game, it makes it much more easy to run the ball and wear people out. And when you do, then you can be more physical in short yardage and goal line as well.
You have 3 very talented running backs. And is that an issue? I mean, we've talked and joked about that because injuries.
Mm-hmm.
But would you go more with the hot hand in the fall than spread it out? Is there a philosophy there?
I think what we felt is that what we got from Boise was really, really good for the 2 years. It helped us get back on track. We got more physical. We're attempting to run the ball better than we did 3 years ago. And at the same time, we felt like that by packaging so many things that sometimes you had to take Marquise out of the game or maybe Jonathan Gray out of the game. What we do feel like right now is our tailbacks haven't consistently stayed healthy. But we do feel like that we can have 2 to 3 tailbacks, and you're hoping that one of the main reasons you go tempo is to get more snaps and to try to get the ball in your identified playmakers' hands. And by doing that, you're going to need guys in shape, and you're going to need, if you get 85 snaps a game, which we feel like you can minimum, then you're going to need a lot of guys to play.
You're going to be looking at anybody at new positions this spring?
I think what we said at the signing day probably is it. John Harris is going to look at Y. He'll look at tight end, but he can still play some wide receiver. DeJay's still playing both. I think he'll continue to do what we've done with him, but have more opportunities. Hassan Ridgeway, I said he was 306 pounds. He'll move inside, has moved inside. Caleb Blewett, because we've got 5 tight ends, we'll go back over to defensive end, and he's had a good offseason. Right now, Jake Rawlerson will start at center today. He obviously can still play on defense, but his first day would be at center. And like I said, he's 260-something, nearly 270. So he seems to be buying into that position right now and seems to be what he wants to do. And I think that's about it.
Mack, we've got time for 2 last questions. You guys got to get into practice. What kind of progression are you looking for from David Ash? Obviously, a full season and the starter for you. You've got the tempo offense now. What does he have to do in the spring?
I thought David played really well at Ole Miss under some pressure. I thought he played really, really well at Oklahoma State and won a game late, which is hard for a young quarterback to do, and I thought that was kind of a breakthrough moment for him. We didn't finish West Virginia like we wanted to. We didn't play well at Oklahoma. He had a great game against Baylor, and then he didn't play well at Kansas. He came back and had a great game against Iowa State. That's when he got hurt. I think TCU's probably on us more than him. And then I thought he came back and the latter part of the bowl game, I thought he had a real breakthrough on about 3 plays with his feet. The play that he scrambled and dived for the first down to the right side of our bench going in, the quarterback draw that Major called that he dove into the end zone. As we said, he spiked the ball and had him a little motion there, and all the guys rallied around him. And then I thought really specifically the play that he scrambled and threw to Jonathan Gray was a great play that changed the game. And then he stood right in there and threw deep to Marquise at the end and made that play. So I think we're seeing David Ash as the clear-cut starting quarterback going into spring, coming out of a year where he's won 10 of the last 13 games he's played. He was in the top 10 in passing efficiency. I really don't think he's gotten near the accolades that he deserves. And I think he has a chance to be really, really good this year. And Vince being here has helped him. He's had numerous conversations with Vince about leadership and moving forward. And I've talked to him about those conversations. He and Major at a really good point. So I think he's ready to go, and he's very excited about what we're doing offensively as well. I think that there is, I would say, excitement more than pressure. You got 19 of 22 starters back. You've got a chance to get the program back to a top-level program, and with what's happening right now, keep it there again. So I would think that the biggest thing is that we're so excited. We had to go through a process here of getting it back, and I think we're headed back in the right direction, and we've shown that over the last 2 years, and I think we'll see more progress this year.
Mack, how do you
Last
feel,
one.
how do you feel David took a step forward? How important was it for him to get a slow start in the bowl game and then come back and kind of rally? Because in the past, when he had a slow start, it pretty much stayed slow.
Yeah, I think we label things pretty quickly sometimes, and he got a slow start at Kansas and did not come out of it. And I think that was a great learning experience from him, because we had conversations with him the next week and said, "What's the deal? You know, what happened? You just look like you were in the fog." And I think he gave us an answer that was something I learned, and I didn't come out of it. And then TCU, I don't think that one's on him. Like I said, I think he really showed a lot of courage to play as sore as he was and try to fight through it. But I thought the bowl game was a perfect ending for him. Slow start, new offensive coordinators hadn't called plays all year. The whole offense should have been in trouble. Putting pieces together for a bowl game, the plan that you had didn't work at all. They laughed at me. I kept saying, "You know, you made one first down." And they'd say on the headset, "Yeah, we got you, Coach." And I said, "Well, you know what? You made one first down. And we got 7 minutes left in the half, so just be aware." And then I went at halftime and said, "You all know you made 2 first downs the first half." And they said, "Yeah, fully aware." And I said, "Well, we need more. So if you aren't fully aware of that, pick it up." And that's when we decided to go tempo, and I think it led right to where we're going. I think like I said, when we were seeing all the great tempo offenses there in the middle, we were going to head that way. And I think it's probably easier for Major to do it than it would have been Brian, because it hadn't been a huge part of Brian's background. And it's been what Major likes and what he does, and it's been what Darryl White likes. If you look at Darryl was at Arizona with Sonny Dykes, and he was at Southern Miss with Larry Fedora, Larry Porter. They're doing all the Malzahn Tulsa stuff that Todd Graham had at Arizona State. So we're really at a good place, I think, Mike, and that changes it too. It's not like we got rookies doing this stuff. It's they've done this more than they've done the Boise stuff.
But I mean, 9-4 is not going to cut it anymore, is it? With what you have in place.
We try to win every game.
Thanks, guys.
That's what we try to do. Thank you.